Today, we're diving into a massive 7-year cyber heist that turned trusted browser tools into a powerful surveillance network. An attacker that researchers have dubbed Shady Panda has been playing the long game, and honestly, the results are just staggering.
And this is the number you need to remember. 4.3 million. That's how many Chrome and Edge browsers have been infected in this one campaign. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This is not a small-time operation. We're talking about a digital heist on a massive scale.
So this threat really breaks down into two separate operations. The first was a backdoor that hit about 300,000 users. Now, thankfully, that one has been found and taken down. But here's the really bad news. A much, much larger spyware operation that's affecting 4 million users, that one is still active right now.
So you have to ask, right? How does an attacker get this good? They don't just pop up overnight. Shady Panda's story is really one of evolution, of learning and adapting from every single move they made.
They started out pretty simple years ago with something called affiliate fraud. They published over 145 seemingly harmless wallpaper apps. So when you'd click on a site like Amazon or eBay, the extension would secretly inject a tracking code and boom, Shady Panda gets a commission. Then they got a little bolder, started hijacking search results, harvesting user data. But, they kept getting caught. They needed a much smarter strategy.
And through all those early attempts, they learned 3 absolutely critical lessons. First, app marketplaces focus almost all their security reviews on the initial submission, not on what the app does later. Second, we users, we instinctively trust extensions that have a ton of installs and good reviews. And third, the most important lesson of all, patience is a weapon. The longer you can look legit, the more damage you can do when you finally decide to strike.
And that right there brings us to their masterstroke, what we're calling the sleeper agent playbook. This is where they put all those hard-earned lessons into practice with just terrifying efficiency.
So here was their 4-step plan. First, build legitimate, actually useful apps, like one called Clean Master, and publish them way back in 2018. For years, these apps worked perfectly. They earned trust, got positive reviews, and even got that verified status from Google. After they built up a base of over 300,000 users, they made their move. A single, silent, automatic update turned that helpful tool into a weapon. And that weapon was a backdoor that used something called remote code execution, or RCE. The best way to think of it is like this. It gives the attacker a hidden master key to your browser, and with that key, they can sneak in any new, malicious code they want, whenever they want, giving them total control over everything you see and do online. And just look at what that backdoor could do. Every single hour, it was checking in with the attacker's server, just waiting for new instructions. It could steal your entire browsing history, change the websites you visit to swipe your passwords, and basically conduct complete surveillance on your digital life. This isn't just a piece of malware, it's a persistent gateway for any attack Shady Panda could dream up. But remember that 300,000 user backdoor we were just talking about? Well, it turns out that was just a distraction or maybe a side project compared to their main operation, a massive and very active spyware empire. This chart really puts the scale into perspective, and it's shocking. On the left, you've got that Clean Master backdoor operation with its 300,000 users. But over on the right, the WeTab spyware operation, run by the exact same publisher, just towers over it with 4 million infected users. The difference in scale is just breathtaking. And here is the single most urgent part of this whole story. Unlike the Clean Master extensions, which were eventually taken down, this 4 million user spyware network is still active. Right now. Malicious extensions like WeTab are reportedly still available for download in the Microsoft Edge marketplace as we speak.
So, what is this spyware collecting? Oh, just everything. Every single URL you visit, every search you type into Google, every single mouse click with pixel-level precision, and a complete fingerprint of your browser. And all of this data is then sent off to servers in China. They're not just watching what you do, they're watching how you do it. This brings us to the real heart of the issue. Shady Panda is the actor here for sure. But the real vulnerability they exploited is something we all rely on every single day. It's our trust in the software ecosystem itself.
This quote just nails the problem. The very system that was designed to keep us all safe, automatic updates, was twisted and turned against us. The trusted pipeline that delivers security patches suddenly became a delivery mechanism for malware.
And this means users were infected silently, without ever clicking a shady link or falling for a phishing email. The attack came from a source they were taught to trust.
So what Shady Panda has done is effectively write, test, and prove a 5-step playbook that any other attacker out there can now copy. Build a legit app, pass the initial security review, patiently build a huge user base and earn their trust, then weaponize it through an update and cash in. It's a repeatable model for exploiting the very system that's supposed to be protecting us.
And this reveals a massive blind spot in the entire security model. It's kind of like a bouncer at a club who diligently checks your ID at the door, but then never pays any attention to what you do once you're inside. After an extension gets approved and earns that initial trust, it's very rarely monitored for malicious changes down the line.
And so this leaves us with a really fundamental question that affects every single one of us. We rely on our browsers, our app stores, and our auto updates to keep us secure. But this campaign proves that the very foundation of that trust can be systematically turned into the most effective weapon of all. It really forces us to ask, how can we truly verify the tools we use every day? And what happens when the very fence built to protect us becomes the battering ram